Hello and welcome to episode one of Nerdy Up North's first ever podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Paul. Hi.
Hi. And this is take two.
Yes, we did try this the other day and I messed up. So
You did not.
you're not going to miss much, so don't worry.
No. But so this is a podcast to accompany the website.
Mhm.
And Paul's now going to just tell you a little bit about the website and our amazing Facebook page.
Yeah, like I said, during lockdown, everything's getting a bit tough. So looked for a bit of a creative output. And me being, like I say, a massive nerd and geek and love all things pop culture, decided to write about things that made us happy. So I created a website, Nerdy Up North, which is www.nerdyupnorth.co.uk. And Sam got involved helping us write a few reviews, a few articles, and a few upcoming things. A few other people have jumped on board, which has been great. And like I say, the Facebook group now is starting to take off. It's Nerdy Up North community, easy to find, and it's access to everyone, and it's growing every day, which is great.
And 600 plus now.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's been going now for 2 months. I'm over 620 odd. I think that was the last count.
If you like nostalgia, if you like a good debate, you're gonna get it on there, the Facebook page, because there is some cracking people on there.
Some very opinionated northerners up there as well.
But not nasty. I've not seen one person be nasty. Like
No,
there's no toxicity whatsoever in that group.
the way I would describe it is going to the pub with your mates and having a conversation, say who would win out of Superman and Batman. That's pretty much it.
I don't know what my answer would be.
Always Batman. It's always Batman. Even though Superman's more powerful, Batman is that much clever, and he would never go into a fight without a plan.
Spoken like a true Batman fan there. So the podcast is going to be broken up into sections. The first one being we're going to just talk about the news, and then the main section of it is going to be our top five. I always want to say top five at five, but it's not five. So our top five of dot dot dot. So we're just going to go into. It's going to be last week's news because nothing really. I checked earlier and there was nothing new. So last week's news, we had the Ghostbusters teaser trailer.
Cool. Yeah, I saw that. Very interesting. I know our opinions are a little bit different on this. You got very, very excited about it. I
Really excited.
warning signs popped up and we're going, oh no, is this going to be a cheese fest? But like I say, Paul Rudd's in it, so can't be too bad, I guess.
No, I love it. Anything that comes out of Ghostbusters, I don't care what it is, I'm on it. And I know fine well that them little mini marshmallows, or Stay Puft marshmallows, I should say, are gonna be a toy down the road.
That's my concern.
I'm gonna own one.
Have they been brought into it just to sell toys though? That's because I know the marketplace now, everyone wants the baby Grogu, the baby Yoda type aspect.
I've got loads.
So that's the thing.
I jumped on that bandwagon pretty quickly. Even my notebook, it's got Grogu on it. I've got a Build-A-Bear that I got for Christmas. I'm 38, people, and I've got a Build-A-Bear. I've got two actually.
See, Build-A-Bear's just brought out an Alice in Wonderland range, so.
Well, that was one thing on the Facebook page I didn't get a chance to put on, and I wish I did, but it's not finished. I don't know if you would class this as nerdy, but I've got nerdy tattoos. I've got Alice in Wonderland ones, done by our good friend Beth.
Yeah.
She's one on me right leg, which is you know the caterpillar.
Yes.
Well, it's not the caterpillar. You know the pipe he smokes.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, and it's got blue flames going up it, like blue smoke puffing it. In the middle of it, it says, "Who are you?"
All right. So is it basically the words?
Who are you? Yeah. And then the other one is like an almost a sleeve. And if Beth is listening to this, we started this in 2013. It's not finished because
in with that.
I know. I'm gonna wait until I do want it finished because obviously it's just an outline, but it's gonna look class when it's finished. And I'm just gonna drop her a message and say, listen, when you when you can, just get us fitted in because it needs a
Help.
colour in.
Please help. No,
Please
she's
help
lovely,
me.
Beth. I'm sure she'll help you.
Oh, every tattoo I've got that actually is worth looking at is done by her. I won't let anyone else touch us. Not my feet are fantastic. I mean, my feet are my favourite tattoos. I absolutely love them, and the least painful ones as well. But yeah,
Oh.
they are my nerdy tattoos, as my Alice in Wonderland ones.
No, she's done a few on me. Like I say, I've always thought about getting a Ghostbusters tattoo as well, but I've never seen anything that I really wanted other than Ghostbusters sign. But to be honest, it's a bit
It can come
overdone now.
across, yeah, and it might not look great either.
No. Depends where you get. I can't really get it on my arse, and then no one will see it. But basically,
That's true.
but yeah, but like I say, going back to what you were talking about, the Ghostbusters, I am very excited. Afterlife, I think it's been moved back to November now, so just in my birthday month.
Yay.
Like I say, I'm loving the fact that it's a follow-up. It's not a reboot. It's basically got the original cast in that we know nothing about their parts, what they're playing, which again excites us quite a lot. And like I say, Paul Rudd, I'll watch him in anything, even in Clueless. He was great in that.
Fantastic and Clueless. I'm really excited, especially the fact that yes, it's in the same universe. I don't mind Answer the Call. I'm not gonna. I don't mind watching it. I don't mind the fact that it's outside of the original Ghostbusters universe. It's just it is what it is. I didn't hate on it. I thought it was a fun watch.
Chris Hemsworth's decent in it though. Like he's the saving grace, which you never think of him as a comedy actor, but he was hilarious in that film.
He's so funny in it. But this is just I didn't have any expectations, and I still don't. So I'm just willing to strap myself in and see what happens. I know fine well I'll love whatever they put on there. They could just have the music playing for an hour and a half of who you're going to call, and I'd still end up loving it.
When the trailer got brought out, I think it was the new one a few months ago. When you hear like Venkman, his voice call it fate, like you get goosebumps just because, like I said, it brings back the memories thinking about Ghostbusters. But like I say, I love it. I'm loving the fact that it's Egon's family. Well, it's hinted that it's Egon's family. That's
the looks there.
Yeah,
like the genuine the look of what you would imagine Egon's family to look like.
True. Like I say, that's just good casting as well. So, but
well,
it definitely is on me one to watch. That when the cinema's back open, I won't be watching it on pay-per-view. It will be like a cinema film. I will go and see.
It will be a day release.
Yeah,
I will be there. Can you not remember a few years ago when there was talk about a Ghostbusters 3, and it was a handing of like passing the torch down to the next generation. The next generation going to be Paul Rudd, Seth Rogen, it was someone within that clique.
Right.
I don't know if Franco was involved in it, James Franco.
God hope.
But it was God, that would have been travesty. That
would have been Ghostbusters high. How high
can Ghostbusters get? But no, it was Seth Rogen and his group of friends, and that's how it was going to be, like a passing of the torch down to them.
Right.
And that was a few years ago, and I was dead excited over that. So you can imagine when they said Paul Rudd was going to be in this one, I'm like, I'm on board. I love Paul Rudd. I give him so much crap when I worked at Nerdfeed for the Ant-Man film.
Really? Oh.
Yes. So I wrote a full article of Ant-Man, why we shouldn't be bothered about him, because who gives a shit about Ant-Man? They've not brought Hank Pym into the starting of the Avengers, so why would we give a shit about a secondary character like Scott Lang? And I'd made this massive article and said, I'm not watching the film, F this, I'm not doing it. Ended up watching it and I absolutely love it. It's in one of my tops. It is, I had to write a full retraction on how fantastic Paul Rudd was as Ant-Man and how we should give a shit. And if I actually did my research, Ant-Man was going to be the third film in Marvel's first phase, but they couldn't do it because of the creative differences with Edgar Rice.
Yeah.
And
because they still used his script. It's still his script for the film.
And you can clearly tell. If you know Edgar Wright, sorry, if you know Edgar Wright from like Spaced,
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and he was just off the back of Shaun of the Dead when because that was phase one, was
Mhm.
Iron Man, Hulk, and Ant-Man.
Well,
That was
didn't they have like, in the early concepts of the Avengers had Wasp actually
Mhm.
in the group? Because when they done the spin round scene, they had a tiny little Wasp there.
Yeah.
I'm sure I saw
So
that like drawn up.
it was the first Comic Con that Marvel went to show off Robert Downey Jr. That was
Mhm.
what they were doing. And Edgar Wright went. Jon Favreau was there, obviously, and I can't remember who directed the Hulk. And all three of them were there, showed the concept art, and then Downey came out at the end and was introduced as Iron Man. And that's how the Avengers would have started. But they obviously had to go down a different route because literally he was on the back of Shaun of the Dead.
Mm.
And Hot Fuzz was coming out,
Yeah.
and it had to be pushed back, and then they had to make changes. And if you want to know all of this, I listened to it with Kevin Feige on what used to be the Nerdist podcast. I think it's called Idiot or Idiot, something like that. But Kevin Feige went into great detail of the first phase of Marvel and how easy things changed. So totally
Yeah.
got off topic there with like went on a complete Marvel run.
Expect that to happen a lot. Don't worry.
Number one Marvel fangirl right here. So speaking of Marvel, that's a nice segue.
Mm.
The Loki trailer.
Yes, very exciting. Like I say, again, more time travel. With
But
Loki
the time travel is all
fixing
going to
all
like.
the little break off things that was hinted at in Endgame, all the little multiverse, shall we say. That's basically going to be introduced in Doctor Strange as well. But I think it's going to have a big hint in as well, because I know they haven't announced the villain for Loki yet, have they?
Isn't it him?
I don't know,
Is he not his own villain?
because I know in the new Ant-Man and the Quantum Realm, it's going to be Kang the Conqueror. But there's
Is
room.
it?
Yeah. Kang the Conqueror has been announced. He's been cast as well. I can't remember the guy who's playing it, to be honest.
Ooh.
But yeah, so he's rumored to be playing a part in the Loki as a background figure. So all the things that's going wrong in time is not just down to Loki; it's supposed to be down to him as well. So I think it's going to have a bit of a quantum leap feel.
Jonathan Majors
Yes.
is going to be playing him, and he was in Lovecraft County.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was a bizarre thing.
Never finished it. No, never finished it. We watched the first few episodes, thought it was absolutely brilliant, and then just completely lost off.
It was
of
hard to watch.
Oh,
It wasn't an easy watch type thing. It would come out like say. I think I would try to watch it straight after Watchmen.
Oh my, yes, we did. How good. Sorry, deep dive again. How good was Watchmen?
I like I say, my wife Nicole. She argues against this because she didn't really like. I love the comic books and it's been quite faithful to that, even down to the squid, which I think shouldn't have been taken out of the Zack Snyder Watchmen. But again, not to go off segue, but I thought it was brilliantly done, well acted, casting. When Jeremy Irons was cheering the scenery was spectacular way as well. Regina King?
Regina King.
Yep.
It was the best bit of television I saw last year. I didn't want it to end. That end, spoiler alert, but that end credit scene when she
walk.
I was like, oh my shit, that was amazing.
I just hope they don't do a second season because
they're not
perfect.
That's it. No, that was it. I had to double check, and they were like, "There's no intention of doing a second one." That was literally it. Alan Moore cannot have a problem with that.
He still will,
even though he has a problem with everything,
arguing with his own little beard, saying that's not his vision, it's not how he likes it. It's like,
he just doesn't like people touching his work, but he put it out there, didn't he? He's unfortunately he's prone to be picked up by anyone and everyone because Zack Snyder got a hold of it.
Yeah. I don't mind that Zack Snyder one. Like I say, I'm the one that owns I think the 9-hour cut where it's got like basically I don't think it's that long. But it's got like the black seal intercut into it as well. Is it a black seal or black?
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all if it was 9 hours. That man can put together a film very beautifully, but good God, his storytelling and editing can be
I think visually, all these films he's done look beautiful. Like if you look at Sucker Punch and
Stunning.
stuff like that, but story-wise, it's always been near the knuckle.
Piss poor. I'll say it. It's been piss poor.
Like 300. Like say, I enjoy watching it, but it doesn't make any sense when you're watching it.
It's like watching The Miz. Doesn't make any sense. And then anyone can fight us on that one.
Yes.
So yeah, Loki looks interesting. When does that start? June?
It's after Winter Soldier, isn't it? So I don't think they'll be releasing, because you had the theory that you think Natasha's going to be in it at some point. So
I'm sorry, but look at it on the trailer. He's sitting next to someone with Natasha's hair, but it's Natasha's hair in Infinity War. Yeah. It's Natasha's hair in Infinity War. It's not the long cut that she had for Endgame. I do think I have strong opinions that we are not done with Natasha Romanoff yet, and I hope not. I really hope not. But I think her death was warranted in Endgame.
Yeah, it's just a shame that they're getting the Black Widow film after she died, like as a prequel. It's the only misstep Marvel's made in like the films so far. Because I think, like as we had a discussion the other day, that should have been the first Marvel female-led story. Captain Marvel, like I say, I enjoyed, but it would have had a bigger impact if we had Black Widow back then.
Yeah, I loved. There's many reasons I love Captain Marvel. And there's many reasons I don't rate the film. Doesn't come into me top 5, but that was the design of Carol. The fact that Kelly Sue was actually Kelly Sue's work is in there. So I'm a huge fan of the 2013 or even 2012 actually Kelly Sue DeConnick's run of Captain Marvel, when she changed her from Miss Marvel to Captain Marvel. And I'm a huge fan of that, and there was a lot of that pulled through the story, and obviously Kelly was actually in it for a brief second. So I would love that. Brie Larson, there's just something about her. She doesn't feel like my Carol.
I still like her in a way. I know there's a lot of fans that don't feel it. Like when she got her hair cut short as well, again, it looked forced rather than actual. Like it's like getting a square peg and fitting in a round hole type thing. But yeah, I still love her from Community. Like I say, a small role that she played in that. But but I think it was a bit of a misstep with Marvel. I know what they were trying for. They needed something big to combat DC's release of Wonder Woman.
But we also needed that in the MCU as well, because there was no way in God's earth that they would have been able to get to defeat Thanos without her.
Yeah.
They did really need her, and they had to get her in there somewhere, and it's almost like they forced it in the middle so she could come into the end.
I think, looking back, and if they missed out Captain Marvel, it wouldn't have been a big miss, but they would have had to brought in Adam. That would have been.
I think I would have preferred Adam.
Yeah, I think that would have been, because when they hinted at it with Guardians, if they managed to do it somewhere, that would have been the link up. I think would have worked better. But yeah, I agree. I think Captain Marvel did feel a bit forced into the Marvel universe.
Yeah, they slotted her in to make sure she could be used at the end. Honestly, if they used Adam Warlock in Endgame, I would have bawled my eyes out. I read Infinity Gauntlet years ago. It was like me Everest. I like Secret Invasions at the moment is me Everest, because I just cannot get past certain pages, and I keep putting it down, and then I keep going back to it, and I have to start again because I can't remember what's just happened. And that was like Infinity Gauntlet for years until Adam Warlock came on the page, and I couldn't put it down. And I wish I could get like that in Secret Invasion, but I can't.
He's got to come into, like I say, Guardians 3 at some point, in some way. But there's going to be so much in Guardians 3 now with everything that's going on. So.
Oh yeah, Thor. Yeah. Oh, I'm so looking forward to Thor.
Love and Thunder.
Taika Waititi is just
I'll let you pronounce it. I'm not even going to try that one. Sorry.
Well, Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi. He's completely done a 180 on Thor because Thor, the first one's alright. Dark World. Oh my god, that film is so bad. And it was like Iron Man 3 and Thor 2 came out at the same time, and me and Ant were like, that's it. We're done with Marvel films. It's just the don't give a shit. Shane Black absolutely ruined Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
The story was absolutely ridiculous. Thor 2, couldn't even tell you what happened because it was that boring. And Jane Foster, Natalie Portman playing Jane Foster is such a bad idea. Hugely bad idea. And then Winter Soldier came out and it totally changed. And everything from that point onwards has been absolute perfection.
The only thing I'm disappointed about Thor Love and Thunder, what the pictures I've seen, the Thor's went skinny again. I was quite liking the tubby Thor. It gave me something, a bit of inspiration. But no, it looks like he's reverting back to either he's been to the gym or he's having some kind of weight loss treatment while he's being with the Guardians.
That was the one thing that really bothered me and Ant about Endgame with Thor, because we thought he was fantastic, that he looked like a proper Viking with that beard and the braids and everything. When he put his oh no, it wasn't Thor, it was Captain America. When he picked up, what do you call the hammer? What's the hammer called? I can't pronounce it.
Mjolnir.
I can't pronounce it. When he picked it up, he didn't get the Asgardian clobber. He didn't get the Asgardian thingy on, which he would have, because he picked it up and was worthy. And if you notice, that's what Thor did when he picked up Stormbreaker and the hammer at the same time.
Right.
He changed into total Asgardian armor wear. Captain America should have done exactly the same.
All right. See, my take on that was when Thor got that was him turning into his battle wear. Because like I say, they always say that Asgard is part magic, part science. Because in even the Thor films, when he's got ready for battle, I know the armor changed through the different films. It kind of came. So I don't know if it was part of like being worthy or was it just his battle wear.
I just thought it came with a hammer.
So get hammer, get outfit comes with it.
Get hammer, get armor. There's one thing I'm not looking forward to in Thor, and you've probably heard it in my voice with Natalie Portman, Jane Foster. So they ruined it by saying that that Natalie Portman will be Lady Thor.
Yeah.
And I say that with the bunny ears. Will be Lady Thor. The one thing about that comic run was the fact that we didn't know who she was.
Yeah.
That was the exciting part. And then the reveal at the end that it was actually Jane Foster the whole time. And in her normal body, when she's not Lady Thor, she's dying of cancer.
Yeah.
Is being completely and utterly ruined for people who didn't read that run.
I wonder if they have that aspect in the film with the whole cancer part, because that was a huge part of the comic.
Massive.
Yeah.
Jason Aaron, I'm reading Thor the God Butcher at the moment, and I read the Lady Thor one because Jason Aaron is a phenomenal writer, and I read the Lady Thor one when it first came out, and I remember I was like, I went in and out with it. I would have my moments where I would pick it, like I'd have to read it straight away, or I could wait a few weeks. And it got towards the end, and I needed to know who she was. And then that reveal was massive.
Yeah.
The fact that it was Jane Foster the whole time, and they've ruined it.
Yeah.
If people who don't read comics are not going to know that was Jane.
Yeah.
Now they do.
It's going to be a strange one. Like I say, there's so much going on, especially like say, as I said, with the Guardians and Thor. Are they going to be like back-to-back sequels for each other? Because the Guardians are going to be in the Thor film, but then you've got, like I say, Christian Bale as the big bad guy in it as well. Valkyrie's making a return as well. So there's a lot going on, and like
massively.
Apparently, the rumors are that the stories for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is about Rocket's maker. And I've heard a rumor, I'm hoping this is right, but if it's wrong, I'm going to be a little bit gutted, that Mark Hamill's going to be playing the character that created Rocket. It's like a mad scientist type role.
Oh my God. Mark Hamill in the MCU.
That would be absolutely amazing. I think I read it over a year ago, when I think it was when James Gunn had either got sacked or was coming back, because he was leaking stuff saying they're still using me script even if he don't direct it and stuff like that. And that them a little bit tidbits are coming, because it's supposed to be going the full circle. It's like showing like all like how they were created. Like it's supposed to be Rocket's story, the next one about.
I love Rocket Raccoon. I love him in Marvel vs. Capcom. I always pick him for my team. He's fun. Right, we're going to move on. Move on. We're going to go into the basic. What are you watching, Paul? What are you watching at the minute?
It's a few new things I'm watching. Like I think everyone in the dog's watching Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like I say, after the last episode, I'm more engrossed. It's sold us a bit more, but it was a hard slog for me. I know you being the Winter Soldier fan, like I say, this was down your straight away. But
absolutely.
But the whole premise, like I say, there's aspects I want more from, and there's given us bits where I don't really want. Like I said, I know I would be happy if it wasn't called Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'd be happy if it was just called Winter Soldier. Just went into a whole Bucky backstory and
Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier. That'd have been cool.
His story in this is so interesting and complex. Like the whole looking back and getting flashbacks, and when he was like say having that date with that Chinese girl and that Chinese little restaurant, and you realise like say he killed that old man's son years ago, and he's got to live with the mistake. Well, not mistakes, the things that he was made to do. And
it's like with Bucky, it's almost like he's just because he's been given the what's the word I'm looking for, where he's been given a pardon by the president. That to him is not his redemption.
No.
He's just because he's got that pardon from the president doesn't mean that everything he did just disappears.
Yeah.
And I think it's him trying to find peace with who he was and trying to work out who he actually is.
Yeah.
And I thought that was evident when you saw the flashbacks. Like he still sees Tony's mom, he still sees Tony's dad. There's still that regret there.
But the thing is with Bucky initially as well, because I know everyone says Steve Rogers was the ultimate soldier, ultimate nice guy. Steve Rogers wouldn't be as person he was if it wasn't for Bucky looking after him and
absolutely
Steve taking Bucky's traits on as well. And that's the combination that probably
you're absolutely right. Did you not see the deleted scene from Avenger the first Avenger?
No.
So there's a deleted scene in there where it's after Steve's mum's funeral. And he's going back to his apartment, and him and Bucky are talking about what happens next. And Bucky's like, "Well, I'm going off in the army, but until then, I'm going to look after you. I'm your family.
Yeah,
you get your stuff and you're coming home with me." And you are right. He was there. Steve would not be Steve Rogers, the nicest guy on the planet, if it wasn't for the influence and the love and support he got from Bucky and his friend. It's definitely his friendship. Even the scene, the most famous one where he says, "I can do this all day." It was Bucky who he knew we could keep fighting him all day, but he had to separate it somehow.
No, like that's the aspects I'm really enjoying, and I know there was a new trailer that came out. I think it was yesterday, the mid-season trailer for.
I've not watched it.
Right, because all the clips are pretty much in it. Things that's happened in Winter Soldier so far, but the end bit's like about a 10-second clip is in like a warehouse, and it's got John with the shield, and
we're going to get names because last time we did this we had no names, and that was very bad on our part because we should have. John Walker,
yes. He standing there with the shield, and then Bucky and Sam standing there, and John looks at them and goes, "You don't really want to do this," and Bucky just turns around and I really do. So
I will literally F you up.
yeah.
But the last episode was brilliant. I mean, if Sebastian Stan does not get some form of recognition for his acting in that one, because it really, as much as we saw Sam doing what Sam does, because he can relate to people.
Yeah.
And I think that's how they work well together, because Bucky doesn't have that communication with people where he can be on their level, because the likelihood is he's probably seen worse shit than what you could ever imagine, so he can't get on other people's level, but Sam can. And I think that's why they work really well together, because what Bucky lacks, Sam has, and he needs it. And they really focused on, I mean, Sebastian Stan showed his acting chops with that scene in Wakanda. I bawled my eyes out for him when she eventually, because Ant was going, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And I'm sitting there, the tears are just building up. And the minute she said, "You're free," I just, you are free.
The thing is, on the hinting for that though, he is going to get reactivated towards the end. I know we've got 2 episodes left.
Only 2.
Only 2. It's a shorter run, this one. Yeah, so we're not getting the full, like I say, the WandaVision thing. But I think either in the last episode or the episode before, he is going to be reacted back into, and but he'll have to beat that programming. So then that'll be his full circle, being worthy of the shield and stuff as well. Because I still think Bucky should get it. I don't think he will. That's who I want.
No, I don't think. I think he deserves it, and I think he understands what it means to have it. But whether or not that goes to him is another thing, because you've also got Sam, who, and this is probably more a testament to Bucky's character, that he was fine for Sam to have that shield.
Yeah. Because he didn't think he deserved it. That's the thing. The things he's done, he thinks he can't be that symbol.
Yeah, and you can tell he's looking for validation, because he wouldn't have brought up, if Steve was wrong about you, does that mean he was wrong about me?
Yeah.
It really means something to him that Steve believed in him. Because I don't, if he didn't, and he give up on him, because he always used to say, "I can't be worth this much to you."
Yeah.
And he really was. I kind of getting choked up thinking about them. I love that.
That's what Marvel does. It gets, like, say, it's not just like a little show that we'll watch from things. Like, say, this is nearly over 10 years worth of TV or films or things. And then if you go back then, like, how many years have we read comics? This is, like, say, our basic bedtime stories we used to read and stuff like that. This is the things that used to get us through. But the thing I'm enjoying the most, like I say, Captain Zemo is absolutely
phenomenal.
And so Captain
he was the bad guy we didn't know we needed.
Yes.
Because that guy is fantastic.
Small pedo vibes, giving the children sweets in the last episode. just throwing that out there.
Someone compared it to Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe.
Right.
Because Turkish of the Turkish Delight. The Queen of the Turkish Delights. She asks, is it Edmund? What would you like? And he says Turkish Delights, and he was compared to her.
To get on the sleigh.
Yeah.
I never got that reference.
But do you have any clue what his end game is? He doesn't want the soldier. What do you call it? Secret soldier.
No, but he doesn't want any superheroes at all, does he?
No, but where's he going with it? I don't. If there's only 2 episodes left, there is definitely a season 2 in the works.
100%. This is the one that can carry on. This is the one where Marvel can pick up and say, go into different avenues. 100%. WandaVision, that can't do a second WandaVision. Like I said, the emotional journey you went through in WandaVision, that was one and done for me. You
needed it. You needed the explanation ready for Doctor Strange, because I think that's where everyone is saying, well, it's Endgame. I think you're going to get some aspect of Endgame, but it was never going to be in WandaVision. It wasn't about that. It was about them two, and it was about her pain, and you need to understand her pain ready to go into Doctor Strange in the multiverse.
Yeah. I'm trying not to be, like I say, with WandaVision, I was, like I said, I was telling you, I was texting me mate Sean every 5 minutes saying this is going to happen, we're getting Mephisto this week. Mephisto's coming next week. I had that many bloody things. I think out of 60 guesses, I only got one thing right. And as Sean kept on texting us to let us know how useless I was at these type of things. But I'm trying not to be guessing too much on Winter Soldier. Like I say, the things that I think's going to happen. I still believe that Sharon Carter is going to be the big bad. That's still, in my eyes, she's going to be like the big player in the behind the scenes.
I like that idea. I do, and it's only because I really don't like Emily Van Camp. I'm really not a fan of that woman at all. To be honest, I actually haven't minded her as Sharon in this one. But when you watch her in Civil War, there is a line she says at Peggy's funeral, and I literally want to put my hand through the screen and smack her head off the thing she's reading off. She turns to Steve and says, and that's why I never told anyone we were related. Nobody would put that in an effing way, in a funeral speech.
Yeah.
Nobody.
But the weird thing is as well, when Steve has his little thing with her, kisses her, and then he goes back in time in the end game and thinks, what's he going to say to her? Oh, by the way, I had a bit nick on with your granddaughter that you're going to, that must be his granddaughter.
That's what I said to Ant. I was like, oh, you'd be well and truly pissed off if you were Sharon Carter right now, wouldn't you, knowing that he preferred our auntie over here.
So now it's got like
you wouldn't want to go home.
Now you've got a whole Star Wars situation. It's like, did Luke nick on with his sister? Now did he knock on with his own granddaughter?
Oh God. It always reminds us of Fanboys, that argument. That's like, Fanboys is one of my favorite films. It's whenever I'm feeling a bit meh, I always stick Fanboys on. And it's the it was his fucking sister. I've been making a Fanboys too. Did you know that?
Oh,
the guy who does the Goldbergs wrote Fanboys.
Yeah.
He's also doing Fanboys too.
Oh dear. What's going to be about the new sequels and how bad they are?
Force Awakens. I love it at the end when they're all sitting there and he just goes, what happens if this is really bad?
It was for the Phantom Menace, that one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, we all went through that pain. We all went through that pain. That's for another podcast, shall we say.
So let's now go on to the main feature, which is our top 5 and
had yours changed from the other day that we did this?
No. No. So we recorded this Sunday, and first time it was fun. I really did have fun. Like it kind of ignited us ready to do more. I loved it. But no, I didn't change my list. Did you?
No, it's still the same. Still like I said, this after talking about them, it kind of reassured that why they were my favourites as well. So if that makes sense.
Yeah. It does. So let's act like we don't know what the list is.
I'll change the order for you, shall I?
Yeah, let's mix it up a bit. Let's go with your first choice, randomly picked.
So we'll go with the first
sorry,
one.
I should say. Hang on. I should say this is. We might have done this before. We've not told anyone what we're doing. It's
all right.
Top 5.
We've entered the Matrix now. We've went all meta. It's fine.
No, this is our top 5 all-time movies. So every week it'll be a different topic to give a top 5 on. I thought I'd go in easy for the first week and just do top 5 favorite films, which we've proven is not easy because our lists have changed multiple times.
Yes.
And then each week it'll be a different one. Next week I'm hoping to give Paul something a little bit harder to think about. But for this week it is top 5 favorite movies. Go, Paul. What's number 1?
We'll go with the first one. Like I said, a little bit different to what I chose the other day, but I'll start off just You just wanted to do that. Yes, so Jaws is I'll start with Jaws as not me ultimate favourite. These are in not any particular order, but Jaws is always going to be in my top 5. I watched it when I was far too young. It was probably one of the most scariest things I've ever seen. I still get scared watching it today. Just the whole intense part of it is just the build-up. It is terrifying. And like I say, for a long period, and like I say, I've wrote about this, I've talked about it, I stayed away from any type of large amount of water for a long time. Even swimming baths was terrifying for a long time. Couldn't
Which
get
one?
out.
The Leisure Centre?
The Leisure Centre, yep. I wouldn't get out the shadow end.
The Leisure Centre.
But Yeah.
You couldn't get me out of the diving area bit. I wanted to try and touch the bottom.
No,
Never could.
There was always a shark, or in my imagination, there was always a shark. And like I say, living at Down Roper as well for a long period, only a stone throw away from the beach, I would not get off the sand during that film. Like I say, watching it now later on, I can appreciate it for different things. Like the whole cast, like say, and the acting parts of it is amazing. Some of my favourite scenes, like say when they're all sitting on the boat, showing the scars and doing the like singing the songs. Like I say, it's just
show me the way to
go
go home.
And the little things that you don't really notice when you're younger as well. It's like his little son sitting on the table mimicking what he does. And you can tell his dad's stressed out about everything that's going on, and it just takes the pressure off him a little bit, and you just see like the human aspect and the whole aspect as well. It's a terrifying film that scares you with music most of all, because you don't even see the fucking shark till past the 3/4 mark of the film.
Oh, my first encounter with Jaws is, sorry, my hair is just done my head in for the last 2 minutes because my camera's flipped, so I cannot see where my hair's meant to go, and I'm trying to sort it out. My first encounter with Jaws was the ride in Florida. So I did the ride in Jaws. I did the Jaws ride first, and then came home and my mum's put it on. My sister has still not seen Jaws. Still not. And it's only, and I don't know what it is, but she's still not watched it, even though I will pester her to do so, because it is such a good film. It really is.
But even if you take the horror aspect out of it, like just for the performances,
would you class it as a horror film?
Yeah, I would. It's terrifying. It's like, say, it's not like, say, the genuine.
It's not your conventional.
It's like
horror,
a monster
really.
film. Yeah, so yeah, I would class it as a horror.
Well, my first one is a horror film. I'm going to go with The Exorcist.
I can see why you like it, but again, it's a hard one for me because I don't love it. I don't think it stands up well. I think it's well written, but
Mark Kermode will disagree with you because he's wrote a shitload of books and a footload of documentaries on why it is one of the best films ever made.
True.
But he will argue of how it is really good. It's got an excellent story that makes you terrified because it's not. It
is pretty much a simple good versus evil type situation, isn't it? Really, yeah.
And I'm not saying it could actually happen, but it could actually happen. And that's like, and at the time, that scared it. What scared me as a kid is the not understanding the reality of what I was watching. So, to explain it properly, Silence of the Lambs is one of my favorite films, and it's not on my list because I completely forgot about it, if I'm honest.
So it's probably changing as we speak. So,
but it is one of my favorite films because I watched it when I was 10 years old. I'll never forget it. I was at my friend's house up in Penshire. I was having a sleepover. We'd been like, I don't play with dolls. I've never owned Barbies. I've never had. How I am right now is how I was when I was a kid. I've never done girly kind of things, and she had all of our Barbies out, and I just was not interested in the slightest. And I went downstairs to see what our dad was doing because he was watching a film, and he had Silence of the Lambs on. And he had to explain to us what a cannibal was because I didn't understand what a cannibal was. So learning at 10 years old what a cannibal was, I got a trapped nerve in my leg. I was that scared of Hannibal Lecter because of what he did. I got a trapped nerve in my leg because I was that scared of him. That scared us more than anything. But The Exorcist also scared us because I don't exactly have I don't have a great religious background, but I do come from a time when religion was put in schools. So you did the whole God and the devil and heaven and hell, and that kind of stuck with us when I watched The Exorcist.
I think my problem with The Exorcist, it was built up when I was younger because it was like say it was during the whole band movie phase where, like, say, you had The Exorcist, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Driller, Killer, and all them types of films that you could not get your hands on for love of money unless you
Oh my
knew
God,
a
what's
little
that
kid down
cannibal
the
one
street.
called?
Yeah,
No, that little kid.
a little kid down the street that had all the snidey VHSs, and you used to
Still around
give
the
your pocket money to lend the video for a weekend and stuff. And when I finally did get around to watch it, like everyone built it up, saying it's going to be this terrifying film and scary. Like, I think there was choices in it that was very brave. The whole getting Linda Blair to go through what she did at that age was horrific, and probably has warped her. There's probably been a few therapy bills because of that film.
Yeah.
For the
Well, she won't talk about it.
No.
She won't talk about it. She does not like being associated with it, and she will not sign anything that has any reference to The Exorcist. She'll sign it Sweet Dreams, which is more Robert Englund's sign off, but she keeps quite like a distance away from The Exorcist, even though she'll go to horror conventions.
Yeah.
All of the money that she makes off them conventions goes to her Pitbull Foundation.
All right.
And you'll be given a fact sheet, and it'll tell you all of the films she was in, and The Exorcist is not on there.
Oh, I knew. The last thing I saw her in was I think it was a cameo in an episode of Supernatural.
This is what I don't get. This film made her and is given and put. I mean, fair enough. It might have put her in a genre that she didn't want to be in.
Yeah.
But
was it her choice though? Because what was she, 14, 13 at the time?
Yeah. So she has like really distanced herself from it. But The Exorcist and Silence of the Lambs are two films that scared us because it almost felt like too much like real life. That's the point I was trying to make earlier. It's not Michael with a mask on. It's not Freddy with that heavily done makeup on, or Jason with the hockey mask on. It's real people experiencing something real, whether it or not exorcism is someone having a mental health breakdown. Do you know what I mean? It's still realism gets us. And I'll always remember me middle nephew watching Shaun of the Dead, of all films, and he was petrified. Like, he was so scared of Shaun of the Dead, and I couldn't put my finger on what it was, and it was the realism of it. It was too real. It was home.
Couldn't take out the fantasy type thing.
It wasn't set in America where everything to us is very different looking. It was our architecture, our grass, our accents, and it really, really scared him. And that's the same with The Exorcist. It's too real in a way for us, even though I know the supernatural elements. And also, if a film is made in a way that is practical, I am all over it. And The Exorcist is no exception. Everything down to the voice of Regan when she's possessed is by a lady who smoked 60 cigarettes a day and drank raw eggs to get that voice. And Regan herself, the look of her, the makeup of her, and the puppetry, they even use puppets in it as well.
Well, I think you mentioned the other day as well about the little things in the backgrounds that you liked about it, how the little demon faces was always hidden in somewhere, and like you can actually I think if you look online as well, it'll tell you exactly where to go, where to find it, so you can keep an eye out as well.
I've seen it a million times. Halloween night, I always watch it, and I actually I got married in Halloween 2019, and the night before me wedding, I did Terror in the Trees, so I was like up a height anyway, and came home. Me and my sister, because me and my sister watched The Exorcist, because like my sister loves the film as well. So me and her watched The Exorcist. Like, it was Halloween technically because it was after midnight, and I got scared shitless because I saw the devil pop up in a place I'd never seen him before. And I even had to say, are we watching the uncut version where the spider walk's going to come on?
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It was the normal version. The spider walk wasn't involved in it, and I still saw a bit that spooked us then.
What was it said on the screen? Was it the PG-13 version where you don't even see a head spread around?
What's the point? What's the point? If you're not going to see the head spin, if you're not going to see the crucifix scene, what is the point? Stupid babies. Right, go on. What's your next one?
Next one. Just loading me up. Sorry, everything seems to be running slow now. Next one I'll go with a little bit of a different genre, not quite different, but going back to my emo days. The Crow. It's,
What is
it
your
is.
emo days, my
Yes,
goth days?
it's one of them things where I didn't get to experience The Crow initially when it first came out because as I was too young to see the other pictures. I think I saw it when it was on Sky Movies at the 10 o'clock Saturday night premieres that used to be on. And just been totally amazed by the film. And this is before I even found out the backstory about how he died during the film, like Brandon Lee, and like the sadness to the actual film. But it was, like, say, because at that time there wasn't many comic book adaptations that came out. Like, say, you had the Christopher Reeve Superman that, like, say, we all grew up with, and where we believed the man could fly. But this one was like a dark and very violent type take on like a comic. And like, say, even the actors, Ernie Hudson as well, was the heartbeat in the film. Like, say, if you take him out of it, I don't think it would be nearly as good. And again, with being like me emo and goth and rock days, like, say, I loved the soundtrack as well. That was one of the first films where I noticed the soundtrack before, like, say, taking it all in. But when you watch the film as well, it's not a happy film. There's so much sadness and, like, say, the heartbreak of going through the pages and, like, say, going through the film. Yeah. It's like, say, in The Devil's Night, and
it's grief. That's what the film is.
Yep.
It's just to do with actual grief. And if you can put yourself in that position, I don't think I could put myself in that position. You've been taken away from your loved one, and you get to come back. Why would you not? Like, and then to die in that way, why would you not seek revenge? I totally get it. I'd go ape shit if I had to come back.
Dig yourself out of the grave as well.
Oh my god, yeah. I've just checked the date there. It came out in 94. We were just starting secondary school.
Yeah.
The year Kurt Cobain died. I'll always remember it.
But the bad guy in it, trying to think of his name. He's a British actor. He was in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves as well.
He's British. He's not British.
I'm sure he is.
Michael Wincott.
Just having a look. I might be wrong. I always thought he was a British actor.
He's Canadian.
Canadian, all right. That's kind of British. They've got off. They come from us a little bit.
Tell you, yeah. But yeah, Michael Wincott is not utilised enough for that voice he has in for bad guy roles.
Yeah.
I would like to see him in a Marvel role. I think he would be an excellent Marvel bad guy.
Who would you say would play though? Because that's trying to think of like the Marvel bad guys. It would have to be like a
Marvel.
Might go out there, Doctor Doom. Victor. Because that's like, say, you're not using his face, using his voice a bit.
Using his voice, Oh, not interesting. He's a good actor. Michael Massey, who played Fun Boy. Was it Fun Boy who did the fatal shot? Because it was, I'm sure it was Michael Massey who did the fatal shot that killed Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is him.
Yeah,
he was really messed up after that.
It's interesting because there's so many different stories that came out. I can see there was bits when you read about it saying that they left the shot in that when he got shot, but
it was an accident.
Yeah.
It was a pure accident. Yeah, he went through a lot of shit. Like not personally, I think more holding himself accountable for it.
Yeah.
But took it really bad. I remember watching interviews with him, and he cannot talk about it. It's what it was. It was an accident. There was nothing sinister about it. There was nobody. The bloody Japanese cartel weren't after anyone because of his dad and shit like
demons,
that.
Like the Bruce Lee curse and stuff.
Yeah,
it was a shame. Like, I know we're talking about someone's death and saying it's a shame. It was a hard thing to take. I still can't believe that they actually finished the film though. That's the thing with everything that happened like that.
It was do you know what? It was reshoots.
Was it?
So you say you love this film. I've probably watched every known documentary on cursed movies, on cursed people. I listened to a podcast called You Must Remember This, and she did an episode on Bruce and Brandon Lee,
Mhm.
and her if you ever want to listen to a really good in-depth podcast, and I have a load, but if you like your true crime, she does an excellent 5-part episode of Charles Manson. It
Right.
is unbelievably phenomenal. The amount of research and detail. She even puts things into story. She uses character actors to,
Mhm.
and it goes from Charlie's early days
Yeah.
to up before he died, and it covers everything.
All
It
right.
is phenomenal. But she did Brandon and Bruce Lee,
Hmm.
and she said, I think it was on her podcast where she said like, what was it? Oh, I can't remember now. I got too much wrapped up in the Charles Manson thing. I completely forgot what I was gonna say. It'll probably come back to us later on.
Gotcha.
No, but, yeah, that was it. Reshoots. It was everything was filmed. It was just the reshoots that they needed to do for certain angles, and that was one of them. And that's why, because they said Johnny Depp filled in, and
Yeah.
a lot
I heard all
of
them
people.
little things that came out.
It was just scenery scenes that they needed. So a load of people filled in who were just his height.
Yeah.
That that's all that they were doing was just the final reshoots and touch-ups, and it happened. The film was already done and dusted with like the main parts, and all the vocals and stuff were already completed.
Oh,
It's a
cool.
good film though.
Still makes us want, like, see, I haven't watched it in a while, so it makes us want to go back and see it. I know one of the lads I talked to, Stephen Crovers, who used to go to college with us. He's obsessed with that film, like, massively. Because I was sending him pictures. I've got the Crow as a Funko, and he was begging us to sell him it. I was like, no.
He's not in here. He's in me. I think he's in my living room. I've got a statue of him. And under this bed, I have a very old. It looks like it's from the 90s. I want to say he's a doll because everything about him is soft, but his head is rock hard.
All right.
I would class him as a doll, but he's
I
about
know
this big.
I used to have the McFarlane figure years ago, but I think I lost that in a few moves.
The only McFarlane I have, because the rest of them, I used to have them on. I used to have quite a few, a couple of Predators. For some reason, I love Predator. I love the first Predator, and that's it.
I still like the second one. Predator 2 still holds okay.
I've never seen it.
Really?
But I have a lot. No, I've never seen it. I have a lot of. You will come to learn this, Paul. I've not seen a lot.
I've seen too many, so it's fine.
If you ever get a chance to speak to Carolyn, she will tell you how many films I've got a list actually in somewhere. I actually wrote down a list of films that I've not seen. What was one of them? I ticked off the list. Willow. Hadn't seen Willow.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I
still going ahead with the TV show. I heard that.
Yeah.
That it was supposed to be cast.
I could imagine that being one of my favorite films if I watched it when I was growing up. My mum's convinced I have seen it. I've never seen that film. And I loved it.
Around about the same time as Masters of the Universe as well, I think.
Well, I had to watch that. I was a huge He-Man fan.
But talking about not watching films, like you mentioned Beth the tattooist, Bethany, we always take the piss out of her because she hasn't seen absolutely anything. Like her husband Joe, literally, they've got a tick box now and they're trying to tick off all the films that she's never seen, but she's useless for not watching films.
Oh, bless her. Well, Beth, we can join the same crew because Carolyn gets really frustrated. She doesn't even bother asking if I've seen it now. She just tells us to watch it. We'll always watch Top Gun was another I crossed off the list last year. The Warriors, because it's me dad's favorite film. Now, when I said to you last time that when I growing up I only watched 2 films, I generally mean that.
Like, say, I got Nick to watch Warriors, I think it was last year, and she absolutely hated the film.
It's one of my dad's favourites. It's well dated, like I must say, yes. But Willow was fun. I loved it. I just couldn't stop saying Matt Monaghan.
As the goat.
I'm Matt Monaghan, and I just kept shouting it at him all the time.
Bless him. And he hasn't killed you yet. He's doing well.
Bye. He's had a chance 14 years. He still hasn't done it, so he ain't gonna do it now. Right, are we ready for the next one?
Yep, it's your turn.
Well, I'm going to mix this up because I put this as my last one last time, and I'm just going to get it out of the way with Steel Magnolias. That absolutely wonderful film of friendship, Dolly Parton, and diabetes.
I think we've had this discussion. Like, I still haven't watched it. I know of the film. I know it's got Julia Roberts in. Sally
Julia
Field
Roberts,
as well. Is that right?
Olympia Dukakis. I
Mm.
can say her name now. Shirley MacLaine, Dolly Parton, Sally Field, and Daryl Hannah.
Daryl
And
Hannah.
it's all southern redneck.
She was my
Confederate
80s
flag.
crush, Daryl Hannah. I love doing anything she was in. Crazy People. What a film.
Never seen it.
But Dudley Moore.
I've only seen Splash the once as well. Even though I got really excited over the reunion of Splash. Did you watch the reunions on with Josh Gad on YouTube?
No, I stayed away from it. To be honest, it wasn't something that I think I did watch the Taika Waititi take on
James and the Giant Peach.
James and the Giant Peach. I absolutely adored that, but I've stayed away from it. See the reunion ones just because
They did a
I'm worried in case
one.
I know, but just in case say if someone comes on and they're an arsehole, it'll spoil you.
Oh no, the Goonies one was the Goonies is how I found it actually. The Goonies was on there. Lord of the Rings just made us cry because the Lord of the Rings is so special to us. Like, and it's not in my top favorites because then I would have to pick one of the three, and I can't pick one of the three. But it's so special to us. It's what got us back in, because if you read me article that I did on the website, I talked about how I used to be a nerdy kid, like massively nerdy kid, and then teenage angst and gothness caught up with us and music just became my life. But Lord of the Rings is kind of like what bridged the gap a bit, and it was there, and because of it, that's how I started to get back to the love of all my other things that I liked. The music was just a secondary thing, but it's so special. But yeah, I cried my eyes out at it. They did Sean Bean was class. I don't even think he knew where he was at half the time.
Like, am I going to get killed in this?
He was, they didn't have to, but they were asked to do lines from the films.
Right.
And it was Liv Tyler when she did when she's stopping the ring wraiths from getting to Frodo, and she speaks in Elvish. Oh, it just bawled my eyes out.
We'll have a discussion about sagas another time. We'll have a whole Clerks 2 moment as well, so don't worry.
Did you say Clerks 2?
Yes. There's only one Jedi, one return, and it's not Return of the King.
The Jedi. Yeah. Yeah, we'll have that debate at some point. So yeah, Steel Magnolias is one of my favorite films. I've loved it since college days when Sky Movies only ever showed it on a Tuesday afternoon, and it's just followed us since. It's just it's probably the one true girly thing I hold on to is the friendship side of it, because I always I have a lot of. My mum actually gave me one of the best compliments the other day. She said I'm a very good friend. I sometimes don't see that because I can be quite a selfish friend sometimes, but I still have it. I don't know if it's a testament to me or to them, but I still have the friendships from when I was 3 years old. Like my oldest friend who lives around the corner, we're still best friends now. Emma, known her Emma, Nikki, and Claire.
Emma sucks.
Emma's literally just been on the phone to us actually, but Emma, Nikki, and Claire, who I've been like best friends with since college days, we're still. I don't say we're close, but we're still in contact with each other. Me and Emma are quite close, but the other two, I mean, we've got lives now. We're like in our and we've got that. But Steel Magnolias is like a reminder of friendship. Yeah. There we go. I'll stop prattling on about it. You can go on your next one.
So leading on to the one about friendships is a good little tie-in. I know I kept this to last time, but this time I'll just include the Goonies. Similar reasons to what you've discussed. It's not as a sad film and stuff, but to me, it's a film about friendship and, like I said, having them friends. Again, I've had this discussion many times with a lot of people. No, it's not the best film. it's not even like up there. Like say when you watch it, think it's amazing, but when you watch
Well,
that as a kid,
not until
it's
you described it the way you did the other day.
mm,
I never thought of the Goonies that way, and now I can't get it out of my head.
but that's the thing though with it. If you watch it as a kid, it's amazing. And
Mhm.
to be honest, like say the whole inspiration for the website and what we started doing for this was from one of my friends, Julie, putting a post on Facebook just saying that she was going to watch the Goonies with her two little ones for the first time, and
Mhm.
she videoed it. She took pictures. She bought her oldest son, like say, a Superman T-shirt. So when Sloth rips the T-shirt, he didn't know about it, and like he was jumping up for joy, thinking he was part of the Goonies, and like see, they were hiding behind cushions when the scary bits were happening. It's like the whole part of the adventure. Like when you watch that as a kid, it's amazing. I know, looking back now, watching it now, it's not really political correct. You don't really treat the disabled or the handicapped by locking them in cellars and tying them with chains, or make the chubby kids dance and make and like the Asian kids are good with tech. It's all kinds of wrong types of
Yeah,
stereotypes. But as a group, you wanted them as your friends. You
yeah.
wanted to
You
have them
wanted
type of adventures as a kid.
exactly, exactly. You wanted the friendship. You wanted the adventures.
Mm,
It was so special, and it's why the likes of Stranger Things and the second and the
mhm.
new It work for our age group because that's what we grew up on, like
Yeah.
that and Stand By Me.
Yeah, Stand By Me. Like I
Um,
said, that was always a close one for me. The Goonies and Stand By Me. Stand By Me felt like an older version of the Goonies because just like the kids were used a bit more bad
it
language.
felt a bit grown up, didn't it?
Yeah.
And like River Phoenix was like smoking and
We want to find a
a
dead
little bit
fucking
more.
body.
Exactly.
Not no treasure. They were just going to find some dead kid.
Will
Um,
Wheaton has one of the best lines in that movie. Is "Suck my
we told you had a fat
you
one.
cheap you suck." No, what was it? Suck my fat one, you cheap dime bum.
Dime Star Hood. And then was it?
I
He
love
says, then River Phoenix turns to him and says, "Who told you had a fat one? Fattest one in 5 counties."
it. Oh, I love it. Stand By Me is a good one.
Mm,
Is a good one. Right, moving on
cool.
to what's next? Oh, mine. Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. Yes. Even just saying the words, you can hear the music, can't you? Though.
Anthony was playing this Jurassic Park simulation game, literally just creating his own Jurassic Park. And
Okay.
every time I came in the room, I would just be singing Jurassic Park and just making up theme songs around the actual Jurassic Park music. I actually have a music soundtrack on my Spotify playlist, and Jurassic Park, the theme tune is on there about 3 times
Mm,
and it's like nearly 6 minutes long.
yeah.
It's literally me taking Ant to work and coming back again and listen to the one Jurassic Park song. But I put it on there 3 times just in case it doesn't come on while I'm in the car. I love it. I absolutely love it. The first one, obviously, for obvious reasons, but what we were talking about on the last when we did this before, the second one
Hmm.
is absolutely phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. Ian Malcolm is one. Jeff Goldblum is just amazing. He's absolutely amazing.
He's a
And
very
Doctor,
odd actor. Like I say, the roles he's taken, like even going back as far as The Fly and stuff like that. He's never
oh,
been
let's not talk about the
conventional.
Fly. It makes me eyes water thinking about the Fly. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's horrible. I
Mm,
don't. There's two films that make us feel sick. Silence of the Lambs is one of them
mm-hmm.
that makes us feel sick. Like physically, I want to throw up in my mouth sick. And The Fly. Bah.
The thing
Oh, it
about
just makes
Jurassic
me.
Park, like when you even just say the name, you think about because like where are the age group when it first came out in the cinemas? Like I remember going for that family trip to the Metro Centre. Like say, my dad tricking us, saying that we were taking me and my brother to see Bambi. So here's me
Still find that story so funny.
pissed off, standing in the queue, then open the doors, then like I say, you see Jurassic Park coming on the screen. It
And
was magic.
you get that raptor scene at the beginning as well.
Yeah.
Shoot her. Um, no, and it's not shooting Bambi's mum either.
No.
My first viewing of it was on pirate video.
Hmm.
I'm sure my granddad thought he was getting a documentary when he got it. Um, But yeah, it was literally the first ever pirated VHS I ever watched was Jurassic Park because I was hugely. I was saying, well, me and my sister were talking about this the other day because it reminded us like how much my granddad influenced me with pop culture,
Mhm.
like wrestling. My granddad was a huge wrestling fan. Like I grew up on the English wrestling, and
Right.
then when he got Sky, like when he got like more channels, he could watch the American one, and we used to watch that. And I was heavily into wrestling when I was like 15, 16, 17 years old. Like massively into it, and it was because of him. But like Star Wars, him, Braveheart. Don't ask us why, but me and my granddad used to watch Braveheart all the time. It makes no goddamn
Wasn't
sense.
Scottish, was he? He hated the English.
No, no, we're definitely English. Me name now is Scottish, but no, my dad's like my side of the family is definitely English. But my surname does come from the clan Bruce
Mm.
of King Bruce.
Oh well.
Yeah, I say my surname. I've had it for 2 years.
Um,
So
but
yeah, Jurassic Park's up there for me. I love it. It's just it's
I
it
I
it's
think
the
as
90s
well
for
with
me.
Jurassic Park, it was the Herald that brought on CGI as well. It made because I think a lot of people had used it in films to a degree, but that was the
Yeah,
first one that was used that we say was
to that.
successful because it was mixed with like the animatronics and stuff. But like I said, there was no way
Yeah,
you could make that film without CGI type thing.
no, and I totally agree with you. There is a lot of practical effects in there, which I love. But the one that we were talking about this on the group the other day, the animatronic that they used for the T-Rex,
Yeah.
there was I don't know if it was just his head
Mhm.
or it was his head and his arms, but there was a full scale version of the T-Rex, but I don't know to what extent was it full or was it just parts of them?
Yeah.
Um, and he malfunctioned in the rain
Mhm.
and set up his sequence while everyone was having dinner and set up his running sequence. And I remember reading an article about it, and I was like, holy shit, there was an actual like it gives us another reason just to love this film was the fact that they did actually, for all the use CGI and the advancement in it,
Mhm.
to make it look as realistic and not as plastic as it could have been. Like
Yeah.
if you watched Jurassic Park 3, it's really plasticky.
Yeah.
Even in Jurassic Park 2, there's some moments where it's like a bit questionable. It's like almost Harry Potterish.
I think the Stegosaurus when Julianne Moore is it Julianne Moore? Is Julie Moore?
Julianne Moore, yeah.
Yeah, she was rolling about in like the little riverbed thing where that looked like a theme park ride type thing rather than an actual
Yeah.
like in Jurassic Park when the raptors chase you, you think, fuck,
So
I'm not playing games.
you've been to Florida.
Yes, I have.
You've been
Yes,
done the now Jurassic Park ride, yeah?
yes, I've done the Jurassic
Right.
Park ride. Yes.
So in Animal Kingdom, there
Mhm.
is a dinosaur ride called Journey to Extinction.
Yeah.
You been on it?
No, I don't think that one was there when.
So
Oh, the one
I
I
used
remember was the dinosaur one, like the actual one from. It might have been actually. Is that the one from the Disney film where it was called Dinosaur?
mhm,
Yes, because you get flown about in a little car to go back in time and stuff. I
and you've
remember
got
that one. Yes.
The T-Rex that comes out here
Yeah.
to the side of you, and he's absolutely fucking huge. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it. The
So
one at the actual Jurassic Park ride, though, the one at the end where you're expecting the drop, you know the drop's coming, and you see the T Rex coming, and you think, "Oh fuck, there's no
yeah,
way you're gonna get away
he
from it."
comes from about here, and then you just go down like that.
Yeah.
With the dinosaur ride in Animal Kingdom used to be called Journey to Extinction,
Mhm.
and because I used to go to Florida from being like the age of 15 to 22, every year we were there. I've seen that ride once in its entirety
Mhm.
and been on it 8 times and never seen it again. I was so scared. I've got a photograph of me and my friend, and when my friend went, and we had Laura. Remember my friend Laura?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
There's a blast from
We
the
don't
past.
we don't speak anymore. We haven't spoke for a very long time.
Because of
God.
me, was it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. No, we were. It was in college that we stopped talking. But you know, I'm nearly 40-year-old now. I'm not being held responsible for shit that I said when I was 15. But no, there's a photograph of us two with our fingers in ears and hands over our eyes like that. I've seen it once and that was enough. But I couldn't not. I hated being left out of things.
Yeah.
So I still had to do it. I'm just not going to look at it. That was scary. That was a scary ride.
I remember riding
But the Jurassic
Florida, I'd say the last time me and Nick went, the biggest disappointment was Skull Island. Like I say, you wait in the King Kong ride that it was just built. It
I haven't
literally is.
been since,
Yeah, you
yes.
literally wait in a queue for about. Well, when we went wasn't peak time, so we waited about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and the ride lasted about no lies, 2 minutes. It was so disappointing.
Oh, that's a bit of a bitch. No, it'll be a completely different holiday the next time that I go, which we are planning on going for my 40th and my dad's 60th, which is in a couple of years' time. Which it'll be completely different. Like I've never seen the Harry Potter world, and I know Jurassic Park's updated now.
Yeah, it's got a new Velociraptor ride, I think it's called now, or the Velocicoaster or something.
Oh, did you see the what's the oh god, what's the bird dinosaur called?
Pterodactyl?
Pterodactyl, yes. Oh my god, Ant would kick me in the teeth for that one. Especially that I couldn't say Stegosaurus the other day and he wanted to punch me so badly. The pterodactyl ride in Florida, it's not a ride. You literally just up in the air and you sit on pterodactyls and you look around the park.
I was too big to go on it.
My dad went on it and was absolutely terrified.
No, they wouldn't let us on. They said I was too big. They said it was a child's ride.
Oh, bless. Right, move on to your next one.
Yeah, well, I think we've got a combination of the next one, the Ghostbusters.
So, oh yes, so
this is just.
I feel like at this point I'm just saying the same thing over and over again because I can't. I can't tell you how I found Ghostbusters. I can't tell you why I love it for. It's just the best film ever made to us, like, and it's so special to us. Like,
it's fun. I think that's the best word I can describe. Pure fun all the way through.
As a kid, we should never have gotten it.
Yes.
We really shouldn't have. As kids watching it, we should never have gotten it. But for some reason, Ghostbusters and Trading Places were the two films, both with Dan Aykroyd in, the two films I only watched as a kid. Was them.
To be fair, not many films in the 80s came out without Dan Aykroyd in.
That's very true. But Ghostbusters is just so special to us. Like, it doesn't matter what phase I'm going through at the time, it'll always be number one. Always.
It's like I say, as I was saying before, it is just a pure. You can watch it. And you can be in any mood. You can be in a bad mood, good mood, and it's just entertaining. And I know it's I'm talking old now. Like I was at work about 10 years ago. I'm talking to some kids about films and stuff, and I mentioned Ghostbusters, and they said they hadn't seen it, and I was like, I felt old, but to me that doesn't feel like an old film.
That wouldn't have bothered us feeling old about it. I'd have been furious that they didn't know it. It's on Netflix, for God's sake.
I think this was before Netflix was a big thing as well, though. So, but no, I think that's what I've mentioned before as well. If you take out all the jokes and all the comedy aspect of Ghostbusters, you've got a fucking scary horror film as well. Because, like I say, that library scene, I dare anyone not to get a shock or not to get shit themselves when that ghost turns.
Scary. It is absolutely shit your pants scary. But it also, like, for me, it's not just the film. It's everything that I got from it. Like, I grew up with an older cousin who was into Star Wars and He-Man and Transformers, and because of, like, he was the only connection I had to someone around my age, I was into Star Wars, Transformers, He-Man. She-Ra was one that I took for myself, but I was into all that because he heavily got us into what you just class awesome toys. they were his. He found them. He found them. He loved them before I did. I literally was just jumping on a bandwagon, and it wasn't until Ghostbusters and then the real Ghostbusters I got something for me,
Yeah.
and it was like my collection. And I always remember, Paul, what was the shop, the toy shop in Sunderland called?
Joseph's.
Joseph's. If I every other Saturday I'd go to the town with my grandmother. We'd go through the market,
Yeah.
not Jackie Market, but the one
No, the
near
open
Park
market
Lane.
next down from the
Open market.
ABC.
Yeah, so we used to go in there. Gran used to get all of that tea towels. I remember a lot of tea towels. But go and get our stuff. And if I was good, I was allowed one thing for my Ghostbusters collection.
Mhm.
Now, whether it was it generally never was a figure, because they would be like a big Christmas present kind of, or a birthday present. But like, you know, remember the little miniature ghosts you used to get?
Yeah.
Used to go on your finger, like a jelly ghost.
You used to get them. You can either get the pack of the ghosts, or you actually got them free with the figures as well, because certain figures came with the little ghosts.
But I always used to get something for my Ghostbuster collection and a bag of monkey nuts.
Because I remember getting my tonsils out and having to stay in hospital overnight, and my mum and dad got as a present, because I used to love the Ghostbuster figures as well, like the real Ghostbusters. But they were always quite quirky. They were a little bit like Transformers, where the ghosts would turn into normal people. They bought us the.
Can you remember the policeman whose jaw dropped? The jaw droppy ones, yeah.
Yes. It was a yellow bug that turned into the praying mantis.
Yes, I had that.
So that was the present I got for getting my tonsils out. I still remember it. But you used to open it, and after 3 times opening it, something used to snap off. Because, like I say, the figures back then weren't always built to last, shall we say.
No. But now that Ken has brought out because my collection, such a sad day in my household. We moved houses when I was 15, from the house I grew up in to the one where my parents are still at now.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Michaela had a toy cupboard. It was an old Aran cupboard. So can you imagine the size of it on the inside?
Yeah.
That used to fit a boiler in it. It was huge. And my sister's toy collection was in there. My mum one day went in and cleaned the whole thing out. I didn't have a chance to save anything.
Funny enough, a lad that I've been friends with for years, but like I say, when I started up the group on Facebook, he's been in touch with us a few times. He's called Gavin James. He's, like I say, once I've got everything sorted with the house, he's going to be responsible for mine and Nick's divorce. Basically, he's got me onto this Facebook page where it sells all the retro old toys and retro Star Wars figures as well. Like I say, when you go on, people are just, it's basically like Facebook Marketplace, but for retro toys and how to find them and like selling bits of them.
You can get me on that as well.
But like I say, his collection, like I say, he started collecting it, I think it was about a few years ago, but he's got like the Millennium Falcon in box. He's just been getting a copy of the Bucky O'Hare figures as well. But like I say, he's a really good lad. He's been having a good laugh with us on the Facebook group page as well. But I'll remember once we're done, I'll send you the link for it as well.
Though that was so I had some life-changing alterations last year, and what I had planned for the next 10 years has completely changed. And the one thing I said to Anth was, well, I can actually start my toy collection now.
Oh well.
Get your priorities straight, Sam. But no, that was my thing. So I've got a few things to pay off, and then I want to get, because I follow a few toy podcasts. If you're ever interested in good toy collectors, I think I got you under that. I don't know if I showed you their official podcast is Yes Have Some Podcast, but they also do a one called Toy Anxiety. These guys are serious collectors. Like Paul, one of their toy rooms is our childhood, just mushed in there. The huge Ghostbusters fans, obviously from the Yes Have Some. But yeah, huge. I can't recommend them enough. The podcast is brilliant. The collections is absolutely unreal, and they don't just talk about vintage stuff. It's also new stuff coming out as well.
Mhm.
But the sad part of it is they're based in America,
Right.
and what they can get over there is not necessarily what we can get here as easy. Like their Walmart, their Target all have Black Series figures in them. Like
Yeah.
we
I always
wouldn't get
found that
that
was
in bloody
a little bit
Sainsbury's.
similar with comics as well, though. That was the thing, because in America, a lot of the older comics were a lot cheaper because there's more stores, there's more this. But over here, um, you were looking to pay
So
double for
difficult.
what you could get quite cheap, and unless you paid for the delivery over in America, but then kind of the
Yeah,
cost didn't work out. But no, that's always
yeah.
been my frustration as well. Like I say, with the American market, like I say, the prices seem a little bit more friendlier than they are over
Yeah,
here.
and it's more accessible. These guys have like vintage toy shops in touching distance from them. Like
Hmm.
it's something I have noticed a lot more in conventions these days. That because I do a lot of conventions with Carolyn,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of vintage toy places popping up.
Yeah,
It's
but they're
not
not
just
that for
because
the prices though.
oh my god, no, 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 no. You know what though? I did meet a really nice guy once when we were doing one in, oh, God, I think it was Middlesbrough, and I was just starting my VHS collection, and he had what I thought was the original Star Wars on
Mhm.
VHS, and it wasn't. It was the touch-up one, but
Uh,
it was a VHS copy. And I said to Carolyn, because I was like, oh, at the end of the day, I was like, if he hasn't sold them Star Wars by the end of the day, they're mine. And he overheard us. And at the end of the day, he came over and went, I put them to one side for you if you want them. So I was like, oh, he charged us a fiver for them.
can't really complain.
He, no, not at all. But they do not mess about with their prices. They know what they have in their hands and how rare it's. It was once rare. It's now not been so much rare because
Yeah.
Kenera are re-releasing the vintage lines, so they're not becoming rare anymore. But if
Only
you want official
things
A's,
I think I had this discussion as well. A lot of people now are cashing in on nostalgia, and I know it's always got to be a thing, but it's like a lot of people now, especially our age, we want stuff to remind us of when it when we were younger.
yeah,
Like fuck, most
yeah.
of my articles have been about being younger, and all the
Mhm.
films I've watched during the whole lockdown has been. There's not been much new stuff I can take in. It's been revisited, so it's like to
Yeah.
remind you of better times, which is like I say a
Oh, you can
positive thing
totally
at the
get
moment. But
that.
a
Mhm.
lot of people are cashing in now, and I've noticed so a few years ago I used to be massively into the Amazing Spider-Man comics, the originals,
Yeah.
and some of them weren't that pricey. You were picking up like £3 to £5 a comic. Now you're
Mhm.
looking 20 to 25. Like I sold them at the wrong point, but people are totally cashing in now because people have got that like disposable income if they haven't been affected financially to the point with the whole coronavirus situation where people are looking to spend a little bit more, which
Yeah,
is a little bit sad.
it is. Well, we're gonna move on to the last one.
You cool? Um, Mine is the 1978 version of Halloween, the original, John Carpenter, The Shape.
Is she?
Like I said, this film still again going back to the horror genre because like I say I was always been a big horror fan. This was my ultimate horror film. It's scary even today. Like it's simple the way it does. You never know
Mhm.
why Michael Myers kills. You just know that he is unstoppable and he is going to kill someone. He's got
What's her name?
William Shatner's face on his as a mask, which is again is terrifying just to think. Having Captain Kirk coming after you, but it's just the whole premise. Like the music's brilliant. Like I say, the acting again isn't the best, but it's entertaining enough. Jamie Lee Curtis plays a good role in it, and it sets down ground rules. Like I say, that lasted for like say so many decades afterwards, and what horror films were based on. And
It
to
set a
me,
precedent, didn't it?
yeah,
Slasher, like slasher is my favorite genre of horror, and it just raised it set the bar, didn't it? Of
mm-hmm.
what you need in a good horror, like a good horror slasher film.
Yeah, and it didn't overcomplicate it as well. It was quite simple, so it didn't
Yeah,
need this kid
it's not
massive
like
backstory saying Michael was abused, he was a naughty kid. It was just like, say,
basically he didn't do Rob Zombie. He did.
no, not go there because that was yes, I wasn't a fan. It's one of them things where they think they have to explain why someone does something.
Yeah,
It's
and
the
you
fact that
don't, and
we
that's
have to think about it makes it more
it's
scary.
it's psychological horror. It's like it makes you think the viewer think, as opposed to being having it explained. Like, I love Kevin Smith very much, but he does not like to explain the back end of things sometimes,
Yes.
and sometimes you just don't need it. Like, simple is better, and I get what you mean by Halloween. It's it's easy. It's an easy watch.
Hmm.
It is pretty terrifying, like, to think that this person has nothing behind them. There's no motivation. It's not aimed on revenge or anything else other than pure evil.
And
He's just pure evil.
yeah, what I like about it as well, there's not many films you could watch in a group and enjoy, or watch by yourself. You can watch, like I can go, like say, have a few hours, put Halloween on, watch it, be thoroughly entertained, and like I say, but get a room full of friends, all you's watching it, all react to it as well. It works both ways. There's not many films like that, and especially like say
No.
with it being as old as it is, I, I would dare say I would get like any teenage person or like say someone a lot younger than me watch it for the first time, and they would enjoy it and be scared by it as well.
Well, here's one thing I didn't ask you the last time we did this. What
Mm-hmm.
did you think of the new one with
I
Jamie
did
Lee?
enjoy it, yeah. The
I loved
guy
it.
that the guy out of I've totally forgotten his name. I know we're trying to get the names right, but
I'll find it.
he was part of the whole Franco and This Is the End crew. He was what's he called? Oh, I'll have to look for it now. Like he was
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride. That's the one. He was the one involved with it, and I thought when I heard that name, I thought, oh, this is going to be awful. And I saw the trailer. I was
you
and
hear
you
Danny
thought,
McBride and you
yeah.
think, shit.
Because to be honest, his work, like, even though he is funny, like say when you look at the films he's been in, they're not top caliber films. Like How High,
Yeah, Your Highness.
Your Highness, that's shite. Even This Is the End, like say entertaining it is, and he plays a good part. It's not really what you would say as a memorable film that you'll always go back to type thing.
No.
What I think done really well with it though, how they just cut out all the shit that went out afterwards. When right, this is a direct sequel to the first one. Like nothing else happened, and they got rid of the whole Laurie Strode as Michael's sister. That was all bullshit as well. So again,
it was never confirmed that they were brother and sister. It was only speculated. It's a direct sequel to the second one. So the second one happens in this universe, but that's it.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching that. I used to do YouTube reactions to trailers, and Halloween was one of them. And there was a genuine reaction. Me and Carolyn hadn't watched it beforehand. We never did. We just reacted to what we were looking at, and we did the Halloween one. And it's where the door closes, and we're saying to each other, "There's someone behind us," and then it happened, and we both screamed at the same time. There was a genuine reaction there. But when you think Danny McBride, you do think funny, and I was exactly the same. Watching the trailer, just took that preconception of, oh, Danny's just going to come in there and try and make this funny, and it
you don't think that's going to be the new going forward? Because Jordan Peele kind of opened the door for that with his take on, like I say, the horror genre. Because like I say, he's been, like I say, the films I love, like Us, absolutely. Like, even though it got a bit confusing towards the end, I still think it's a good film.
That's it. I don't get Us. I don't get it. The end really confused us. But Get Out, me and Ant would just watch Hereditary. So we were up a height to start with. And then we were like, right, we're in the mood. We'll put Get Out on. Paul, our hearts were racing.
Tell you what.
At the end, when you think that's it, you think it's done and dusted with, because you know what Jordan Peele is aiming at with this film, and you know the racism that he was getting at, and the fact that the police car pulls up, we were like, that's it, he's done with. And the fact it was his fucking friend who got out the car. I was never been more relieved. We couldn't breathe by that point. We were like, that's it, he's done. And then his mate gets out of the car. Jordan Peele totally shocked the shit out of me on that one.
Yeah. But that, like I say, it could be a new comedy thing. But if you wanted to, like a head fuck of a film, I don't know if you've ever watched it. Have you watched Midsummer?
No, and I was very much put off by it, and I tell you why. I don't like it. Do you know what it reminded us of?
Hmm.
It reminds us of 70s horror, like The Wicker Man.
Yes, it's very
And
much in the vein of The Wicker Man. That's what I was about to
don't
say.
like I
Kirsten's going to
don't
be
like that
fuming.
type of horror. I don't like that type of horror. I don't like the it really reminds us of that 70s feel of devil possession and devil worship and witchcraftery from the 70s.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan.
it's
But I have heard it's quite good.
it's hard to watch because, like I say, we accidentally watched the director's cut. Like I say, when we walked down, like watched it on the streaming links, and it was a long film. And you, but the thing is, though, there's elements you think, oh, this is getting boring. Then something happens, and you're like, what the fuck? But this keeps you engrossed. But it is a head fuck of a film, and if you've got like mental illness and stuff like that, it's got so many triggers in. So, like I say, that.
Yeah.
But if you like the horror genres and stuff, for a modern horror, it is well done.
Yeah, I mean, like besides comic book movies, horror is my favorite genre. Like, I I absolutely love. Do you know what one of my favorite horror film actually is? Because I love slasher films. Slashers are my favorite. I think they really do. Like, no horror film scared us in years, but I fucking love Scream.
And they flipped the script. Yeah, Drew Barrymore dies in the first 10 minutes, and you never saw her come.
Yeah, I remember again another film I watched on VHS copy, and me and my friends watched it, and then decided. So we watched it. I tell you, it was Christmas because it came out at Christmas, and it was either just it was in the holidays. It was either just after Christmas or just before it, and definitely leading into the new year. And we watched it at my friend's house, and then we all dispersed and said, right, we're going to go home for tea, and we'll come and see each other later. Where I live now is where all my friends lived, and I actually ended up moving about 5 minutes down the road, and my friend Catherine lived over the road, and we walking home. By the time I get in the house, bearing in mind this is not a mobile era, Catherine comes running over to mine about 5 minutes after she's been in, saying that she's getting dodgy phone calls and that someone's going to come get her. And I got a phone call at my house saying, pretend that you've just gotten a dodgy phone call and that you've been told that you're number 6. And Catherine comes running over and went, I've just been told I'm number 5. And I was like, oh my God, I'm number 6. We had to put an end to it because our mum was going to actually call the police because we were given that dodgy phone call. Because again, it was not a mobile era. But Scream, I just, absolutely loved it. Look, it's not on my top, but I do love Scream.
So moving on to your last pick.
My last one is Endgame. And it's just for the sheer reason that it was nearly 10 years worth of commitment, investment, love and passion, and a complete and utter payoff at the end, for me anyway.
It was the ultimate fan service to anything, any Marvel fan or anything that you've wanted to do. Because no shadow I love Endgame. I've watched it a million times. I do, however, have a few issues with Endgame. That's why it'll never be in my top 5 or probably my top 10. Being honest with you.
Yeah.
Like I said,
I get it. I do get it. I get the reasonings behind it. It isn't perfect, but it is for me.
no, I can understand why.
Pleased.
Like I say, there's elements of it in Endgame that had me crying, that had me standing up cheering, but the whole my big issue, like I say, again, I think we talked about it before. I'm never a big fan of it in films. In this one, I thought was a bit of a cop out using it this way was time travel. Looking back, there's only been 2 films in my eyes that's done time travel well. One, Back to the Future, which is one that dropped out of my top 5 for Ghostbusters, and the Terminator films. Well, the Terminator 1 and 2.
1 and 2. Let's just
correct myself there. Get some abuse there. But no, them are the, like I say, done time travel well. So don't overcomplicate it. Just keep it simple. Where this one, I know why they did it, to break into the whole multiverse and the different lines that's going to be coming off or cracking because of what they've done by going back in time. And also, again, like I say, I know the women movement at the moment is taking flight and all power to it. But the whole girl power scene in Endgame was so forced and was the most cringeworthy thing I've seen in a long time. Because, like I say, I think we discussed as well, if you look back over the last few years, watch how The Mandalorian did it. That was a very girl power moment at the end of The Mandalorian, which felt natural, wasn't forced down your throat.
Yeah.
But this one, it was kind of like, didn't make sense. It's like, oh, this Captain Marvel's going to get the gold glove. She's going to need this help.
Yeah.
Why would all the benders step aside and let the women take charge?
Do you know what though? It's a moment where I feel the filmmakers felt they needed to do it, but what they didn't realize is that they naturally did it in Infinity War when Wanda and Okoye and Black Widow are all together, and that is a natural progression of she's not alone, because it literally was just it, but it wasn't a case of every single woman cast member come on and have this forced thing. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm all for women having their place, but they didn't need to do it as forcefully as what they did in that moment, and it made it cringy, and it made it, you ruined an opportunity.
Yeah.
You could have had a sequence where you just saw all of the women fighting.
Yeah, or just pan through the battlefield and like say pick out them as the main things.
Like as the main focus. It didn't. When it comes to, you don't need to have the idea is that this shouldn't be an issue. The women should have just as much screen time as what the men do.
Yeah.
Do that in your big fight scene. Don't use just all shots of the men doing it. Have all have all women fighting with them, like, but don't. Oh, yeah, I do get what you mean with that bit.
Say that though, on the flip side, my big moment for Endgame is the callback when he's clicking "I am Iron Man." That is ultimate payback. It's like you think it takes you back to day one, and you think yes, because
that was the huge thing. Imagine, go back in your brain 10, well, it'll be nearly 11, 12 years ago now when Iron Man first came out, and the fact that Tony Stark just went, yeah, I'm Iron Man. Like, you didn't know what to say at the end, because it's like, but it's meant to be your secret identity, but it's not some fucking secret now, is it?
No. But no, that was all the thing. But that's the thing with Marvel as well. Like, I'll always love and I'll always keep an eye out for is the little callbacks that they do. Like the brilliant one in WandaVision when Jimmy Woo's character done the card trick. And you think, yes, he learned how to do it. He tried all his time in Ant-Man versus Wasp to learn it, and he finally got there, and it was like, yes. And
when
again,
it happened, it happened, I says to Anne, have I just seen that right? You're going to have to go back. The Disney app is not great to go back on, mind.
No,
and I was like, you're going to have to go back. I'm sure he's just done the card trick from Ant-Man and Wasp.
But again, similar case. I think it was the third episode of Winter Soldier and Falcon when they're getting in the car. This time Sam's getting in the back and Bucky's in the front. He's going, you're not pushing forward now, are you? And he just went, nope. Call back to Civil War when he asked him to do it. Again, little things that Marvel do so well, just highlight the attention to detail.
Marvel actually have a department of continuity. They have all the like Brian Michael Bendis used to be a part of it, and he wrote. Did he write House of M?
Right. Yeah.
I think he wrote House of M. He was a huge name in Marvel, obviously writing some of the biggest titles that they've ever done. But he left to go to DC. And well, Miles Morales is his child. I'm sure he's. I don't want to say it because I could be wrong, but I'm sure he's one of the creators of Miles Morales. I remember him being very happy when it won an Oscar for Into the Spider-Verse. But yeah, he was part of a team that did just continuity.
Right.
To make sure that these little details all followed on from each other. So there was no mistakes. There was no, like the timeline wasn't broken.
Right.
And they would go into comic history and make sure that what was out there was either the same or similar to what was in the comics. but there was a team who did that. I don't know if they still do, but when
Possibly,
Marvel
like I
first
say,
started,
with everything that's going on with Marvel, like I say, they're not playing around. Everything is perfect. But again, I can see why Endgame is there. Like I say, I enjoyed Infinity War more as a film.
because yeah, Ant did. Ant loved Infinity War more than what he did
Yeah.
Endgame, and it was the time travel aspect. That's what got him.
Mm.
Didn't like it.
But again, I wanted something different than just go back in time, and fix it. I wanted, like I say, I was hoping for more, but we got what we got. And again,
Did you want Ant-Man to shrink and go into Thanos' bum?
no, but I did want Steve, like I said, to do the famous lines to stand up. I know that kind of hinted when he stood up, got the shield, and stood up by himself. But I want him to use the line, "If only one man stands, as long as one man stands against you, you'll never truly win." But
because it kind of like that's almost like a call. That just gives us goosebumps. That it's almost like a callback to Loki before he dies. He says, "You'll never truly be a god."
Yeah.
And it's just another reminder of you're not shit, really, mate. Are you? You're really not. I tell you what, though, something we didn't discuss the last one. Thanos has obviously been the build up for 10 years. We're going into a new phase of Marvel with a new big bad. Who do you think it's going to be?
Mine's changed so many times since.
Mine stays pretty consistent at the moment.
Right. I've gone into 3. So with the whole multiverse, like I say, I think Mephisto is 1.
Right.
I know Kang's already been announced, but I don't think he's going to be the big bad.
No. Well, I'm talking huge bad. I'm talking universe crushing, universe eating.
See, I don't think Marvel's going to go big now because they went big with Thanos. I think they're going to go a little bit home. So the other 2 that I've been going up through, Victor Von Doom. I think, like I said, if they are going to do the Fantastic Four and Galactus and stuff, I think Victor Von Doom's going to be one of the big ones.
Galactus? Why wouldn't you pick Galactus? That's my big bad. That's who I think's going to... How did you not get it from bloody Earth eating?
I don't think...
Planet eating?
I think it'll be a one and done film. I don't think it's going to be... I don't think he's that much of an interesting bad guy. If you look back in the comics, I think the Silver Surfer is more interesting than Galactus.
Oh my god! And yeah, Anth will agree with you on that one. Anth is a fan of Silver Surfer and is devastated he's obviously not being done right.
Yeah, but the other one I say this is one I keep changing on. This is probably me just hope. I think the big bag in the next ones, like the next thing, is going to be more human. Norman Osborn. Because they keep saying that the Spider-Man 3 is going to be the big interlinking for everything.
We're going into the multiverse with that one, aren't we?
Yeah, so Norman Osborn, like I say, because there's rumours going about that the old Avengers Tower is going to be Oscorp or the new Fantastic Four hideout. But to me, it makes more sense. I know they've got the Eternals and stuff coming up, but go a little bit more grounded with the villains. Because they've done big, big and bad Thanos. Because anything they do, it's going to be just like a second.
I'm going to fly the Galactus flag, but I'll hold my hands up and say if I'm wrong. So I think we should come to an end now. We've talked for a while, so I'm sorry. we will get to the point where this just becomes seamless and we can do it in a shorter amount of time. But this is our first time. So yeah, if you're watching it on, I don't know where we're doing it. Is it
platform we can get it up really? So
yeah, whatever platform you find us on, just remember to join us again in some capacity where if you can subscribe to it, that'd be great. But yeah, next top 5 is going to be a little bit trickier than your favorite film.
No problem. And like I say, if you have sat through and watched that, thank you. And like I say, don't forget we've got a Facebook group, Nerdy Up North Community, and the website. Again, I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress. Is www.nerdyupnorth.co.uk. Love to hear your feedback, and like I say, if you agree or you think we're talking all bullshit, so have fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, Sam, as well.
Oh, no, praise Paul.